Think we are up and running. Hey, how's it going? Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, May the 10th. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the video chat. And just want to make sure that this is coming through loud and clear, that you can hear me and see me on your end. So for those of you who are popping onto our live stream right now, and I know some people are popping on, please give me the notification there in the chat window if this is coming through loud and clear. I always like to do that coming through on my end. It normally does, but sometimes it hasn't. And it's embarrassing when it doesn't come through loud and clear. I remember a few weeks ago, and those of you who are regulars probably remember as well, my mic got disconnected and I was yakking away because I had a screen share going and I was chatting away, and 10 minutes or more go by before I realized I was just talking to dead air. So let's see. Dan saying it's coming through loud and clear. Appreciate it, Dan. Thank you much. Baby Boomer Fitness. Loud. Good. Appreciate it. Coming through loud and clear. Good. Clear. Clear. Check. Check. 1, 2. Good. Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. So again, welcome to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat. My name is Lee Hayward, and this is something that I do every Friday, or pretty much every Friday, whenever I can certainly make it. We'll have a live Q&A, and basically the purpose of this is to discuss fitness and nutrition, health and wellness, any specific challenges that you may have with regards to building muscle, losing fat, getting in your best shape. Feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window, and I'll do the best I can to help you out over the course of our video chat. Now, I am going to make a heads up. I have to cut this video chat a bit shorter than usual. Normally on Friday evenings, I've got time to kill. It's the end of the week, so I sometimes have the gift of gab, and we might go a little long. Today, I have to clue it up right at the top of the hour, actually a few minutes before the top of the hour, because I have a coaching call to do immediately after this video chat. So we're going to keep it shorter than normal. All right. No rambling on today. We're going to keep it on schedule. So let's see. We have Jeff joining in from Southeast Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome, Jeff. Glad to have you joining us. We have Carlos from Portugal. Welcome. Glad to have you joining in. And yeah, as you're popping onto our live stream, let me know where you're tuning in from. And we have, we're streaming from 2 locations, from Facebook as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. So wherever you're tuning in from, welcome to the chat. Glad to have you joining us. Most of the time, people do join in through the YouTube channel. That's the main streaming platform, of course, but we do get a lot of people pop on through the live Facebook stream as well. All right, we have Robert joining in from St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome, Robert. Glad to have you joining us. And I got a question here. Just a second now. It was one that came in earlier through the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group by Craig. And that's something you can do if you're part of our Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. You can submit your questions in advance for our live Q&A. So Craig has done that, and I'm going to address his question while you guys are typing in your questions and topics of discussion into the chat window. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, there's going to be a live stream chat window to one side of this video screen. Type in any questions or comments or topics of discussion you want to discuss. On Facebook, it's probably going to be a comment box below the live stream. Either one is going to be fine because it all comes through on my end, regardless of if you're on YouTube or Facebook. All right, so there are some questions coming through, but before we jump into those, I'm going to address Craig's question. Hi, he says, I've got a question for your YouTube show tomorrow. So he posted this yesterday. He says, I live in Texas and I work outside loading airplanes. In June through parts of September, we get 95 plus degree temperatures. What do you suggest as foods for that time of year to be able to build muscle? Sometimes it is so hot that I'm not hungry, but I still want to try and make progress. Help. All right, I can certainly relate to appetite changing due to the season, due to the weather. That's quite common, and most people will go through something similar to that. Generally speaking, as the weather gets colder, and you'll probably notice this, in the winter time, in the fall and the winter, as the weather gets colder, you tend to crave more solid foods, more warm foods, more comfort foods, if you will. And then as the weather warms up, it's kind of the opposite. You probably don't want that heavy, hot meal, but you want more cool treats. And it's kind of like we want the opposite of the temperature. If it's really cold outside, you want a nice hot meal to warm you up. If it's really hot outside, you want like something cool and refreshing to cool you down. That's normal. I think everyone's going to go through that to a certain degree. And if you're not feeling overly hungry, you don't have to force it, but I would prioritize making sure that you're still meeting your nutrient needs, especially your protein needs. That's something that should be stable and consistent regardless. Like, regardless if you're trying to build muscle, lose fat, or whatever, you need to have adequate protein intake. So I would prioritize the protein intake in Craig's case and not really forcing the food choices otherwise. Now, unless you're like severely underweight and you're really struggling to fill out your frame, like you're skin and bones and you need to pack some meat on your bones, which there are some people out there like it. I mean, we have people within the total fitness bodybuilding group who are underweight for whatever reason, whether it's just genetics, they're just that a natural ectomorph who's always been skinny their whole life, and no matter what they eat, they just can't gain any weight. Some people are underweight due to health challenges that they've had, or whatever reasons, but if you're really underweight, then obviously you're going to have to prioritize food to try and fill out your frame and put some meat on your bones. But most of the people who I work with, like most of my coaching students, most of the people who are on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group, and I'm willing to bet most of the people probably watching this video chat right now, you might have a few extra pounds of fluff. All right. And I'm saying that with not to be rude or anything, but chances are, if you like look down at your midsection, you could probably pinch an inch or two. You're probably not ultra shredded with six-pack abs and single-digit body fat for the most of you. I mean, there's probably a few of you who are, but I'm willing to bet most of you are probably not single-digit body fat and like ultra shredded right now. I'm not. All right. So if that's the case, if you don't have a big appetite and you're not eating as much, maybe this is a prime opportunity to use that to help aid with fat loss. I mean, if your appetite is a little suppressed because it's warmer and you just don't feel like eating as much, maybe prioritize the protein, prioritize those foods, and then just keep the overall caloric intake at a bit lower and take advantage of that and use it as a fat loss opportunity. That's something that you can do as well. So again, this is for Craig here. He's mentioning, it's hot in the summertime and he doesn't feel as hungry. The one thing I will address here is, even though you may not feel hungry like in the middle of the day when you're working and it's at the peak temperature, what often happens is if you're not consistent with your food, it catches up with you. So like, okay, midday when you're working, peak of the heat and everything else, oh, I don't feel hungry. I don't feel like eating. But then later on the evening, once you settle down and you're unwinding and the temperatures are cooling, or you're sitting in your house in a nice AC, comfortable living room in front of the TV, then the cravings start to kick in. And very often what often happens is people then overeat in the evening. Like, this is the common scenario when people try to go intermittent fasting. They say, well, I didn't eat anything all day, right? And they think that they're doing all wonderful because, oh, I didn't eat anything all day, I must be burning fat. But then in the evening, when they settle down and they do start to eat, it's like opening up the floodgates. And then there's no controlling their appetite. And then they often justify eating poorly because I didn't eat anything all day. So I want to caution Craig on this, because that's something I could easily see happening where, oh, I don't feel hungry throughout the day, so I didn't eat anything. And then later on in the evening, it's like, oh, well, I'm starving now. Well, I'm going to have a slice of pizza, or I'm going to have, drive-through or French fries or chicken wings or whatever, or even just find myself elbow deep in the Pringles can, making all these not so good food choices and justifying it because, well, I didn't eat anything all day. I deserve to have a treat. I deserve to, have half a gallon of ice cream right now because I didn't eat anything all day. And that's a common mistake a lot of people make when they're intermittent fasting, and they think they're doing themselves good by starving half the day and then binging the other half. It's the overall calorie intake over the long term. So you need to be mindful of that. And when I'm helping people with their nutrition plan, we always try and focus on consistency. like not letting your calories dip too low and then not letting them go too high either. Trying to maintain that stable calorie intake day in, day out, and frequent feedings throughout the day as well. So you're not going into those low blood sugar crashes and then suffering from the rebound afterwards where your appetite is uncontrollable. If you can keep it consistent, then your blood sugar stays stable, your appetite stays stable, and not only that, but your body has the nutrients it needs for building muscle and keeping your metabolism, optimized. It just makes everything work so much better when you are consistent versus going through this feast and famine, where you go so long without eating anything and then you're starving, then you end up justifying making poor food choices, eating like crap, and then you feel guilty because, oh, I just ate like crap, and then you starve yourself again, and then you get hungry and then you eat like crap. You're better to eat good consistently throughout the day and throughout the week and not going through these ups and downs, like the yo-yo. It's almost like a version of yo-yo dieting within the course of a week or even within the course of a day, right? We want to be consistent. So the big one that you need to prioritize there is the protein intake. And of course, if it's hot outside and you don't feel like eating, choose for food options that are more palatable. I mean, maybe you don't want a hot meal, but you want something cool. I mean, salads, smoothies, sandwiches, things like that may be more palatable. Wraps. I mean, I'm just thinking some stuff that I would probably go with if I didn't want a hot meal, but I still wanted something that's protein, carbs, and veggies. That's probably what I would go with. But again, try and be as consistent as you can, especially with the protein intake. All right, we got a lot of questions coming through here through our live stream chat, so I'm just going to jump right into them and try and help as many people as I can for the next 45 minutes. Let's see who else we have. Jeff is asking, is it better to do own food prep or buy food prep meals? From a nutrition point of view, it really doesn't matter as long as you're prepping good food or buying good food. It's the actual food itself that matters the most. Who made it is secondary in importance, if you will. The only difference, of course, if you make it yourself, it's going to take more time, but it usually is cheaper. If you hire someone else to do it, like a food preparation company, you're probably going to pay more for it, but it's going to be more convenient because that's one less thing that you have to do. So it's like 6 of one, half a dozen the other. What's more important? Is saving time and convenience more important? If it is, maybe opt for a good food prep meal delivery service. If saving money is more important, then do it yourself, right? It's not necessarily right, wrong, good, or bad, because I know people who've gotten great results using both. I'm personally, I prep my own food. I've never hired a meal prep service before, but I know several of my coaching students who've done that and have still gotten great results. So it's just personal preference. It's not right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just personal preference. The only thing I will caution is if you are doing these meal prep services, you want to make sure that you know what it is you're getting, because just because it's a prepared meal doesn't always mean it's a healthy meal or it has what you want for optimizing your goals, especially if you're training for fat loss and you want to keep the calories in check. You want to make sure that the food is suited for a optimal fat loss meal, right? And again, a lot of these meal prep companies, they will offer their different packages and stuff, but you just want to make sure that it's geared for not just a convenient meal, but a healthy and nutritionally optimized convenient meal. There's a big difference, right? Otherwise, it's just another form of fast food. But it's your personal choice on that. There's really no right or wrong, good or bad. Do you think water fasting 3 to 5 days can reset our systems? I have done it in the past. The longest water fast that I've done is 4 days, and it was back when I first started hearing about fasting, and I was kind of curious to see how it all worked and stuff, and I tried it. But there's nothing magical about fasting. I mean, unless you got to do it because of some medical reason, like you're getting a colonoscopy or something. Okay, we got to fast for a day or so to clean out the pipes or something. That's different. I mean, that, you're doing it for a purpose. But for most people, I really don't think there's any benefit to these prolonged fasts. I mean, yes, you're going to deprive yourself, and you're going to lose a lot of water weight, and you're going to lose a lot of bloat, and you're going to deplete your glycogen stores and all that. But what often happens after a fast is you end up rebounding and you end up overeating in the days afterwards, and justifying it in your mind because, well, I didn't eat anything for however many days it was. Well, now I deserve to have that slice of pizza. I deserve to have, that feed of McDonald's. I deserve to have, whatever, the insert comfort food of choice. And you'll justify eating it and eating it in large amounts because, hey, I didn't eat for several days. I deserve to have it. So it usually leads to this like starve binge type of eating disorder, basically. I would much rather see you eat consistently. And another problem, of course, is when you go on these prolonged fasts, you're losing muscle. Like it's inevitable. You're burning body fat, but you're also going to be losing lean muscle tissue because you have no protein in your system. You have no nutrients in your system. There's nothing there to sustain your lean muscle. So some of that weight loss is going to come from lean mass as well as body fat. So, I mean, unless it's advised by your doctor for some medical reasons or whatever, I would not recommend prolonged fasting. I mean, it's not going to do anything magical for your digestive system or your metabolism or anything like that. And whatever weight you lose is temporary because as soon as you start eating again, you're going to rebound it rapidly. I mean, I remember when I did my water fast. I mean, it was several years ago now, but I lost, it was in the double digits. Like I lost over 10 pounds in 4 days. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was 10 to 15 pounds in 4 days, which sounds like a lot. But as soon as I started eating again, I mean, I probably put, 16 or 17 pounds back on, because the body just rebounds. So it's not like a long-term weight loss solution. It's just this short-term deprive yourself, but then you're going to rebound and gain it all back in the long term. Going back to what I mentioned earlier, consistency. Like we don't want to have our calories drop too drastically low. We don't want to have them too drastically high. We want consistent feedings over the course of the long term, right? Consistent feedings throughout the day, consistent feedings throughout the week, right? There's a reason why top level athletes and bodybuilders and fitness models, like the old school, eating multiple small meals per day, keeping it consistent. Like, why do the top athletes do this? Because it freaking works. It optimizes body composition. It optimizes athletic performance. They like if they could starve themselves or go fasting or depriving themselves or any of these extreme crazy diets, then that's what you would see all the top level athletes and people doing. But they're not. They're sticking to the basics. And the reason they stick to the basics is because the basics work, right? Don't try and reinvent the wheel. But again, I'm not a big fan of it personally. I've tried it and there's no real long-term benefit. What else we got there? We have TS joining us. Just a second now, guys. I'm losing my spot here. There we go. TS, thank you for your support. Much appreciated. It says week 7, still going. My England football shirt feels tight on my back. Lat pull down. Chin-ups, barbell row, shrugs, full 3 days a week or 4 days if I miss a session. Way to go. Good for you. Filling out your frame with some lean mass. Week 7 going strong. Good for you. I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing. And, of course, thank you again for your support. It is much appreciated. Keep me posted with how things are going. All right. Let's see. Where else are we now? Jumping back into our video chat. Robert's got a question. I'm thinking about doing just 2 days of full body. Can I still make decent gains? You can actually make solid progress with 2 full body workouts a week. Now, what matters most is what you're doing during those full body workouts. As long as you're training in a progressive overload fashion, you can make progress. And I've had several of my coaching students, especially guys that I'm coaching personally in the gym. I've seen this. So, I mean, I know they're consistent with the workouts because I'm there with them, setting up the machines and the exercises for them. I'm taking them through literally exercise for exercise, set for set. We're going through it together in real time. And the people that I've done that with, I've had several guys because they're family men, working professionals. I mean, they got a lot on their plate. They don't have time to be in the gym 4, 5, 6 days a week. Sometimes like we strive for 3 days a week, but a lot of times it ends up being 2 days a week just due to life circumstances and schedule clashes and stuff happening, right? Because as you know, like especially if you're a parent, I mean, you're working full time, you've got a lot of stuff on your plate, taking the kids to their sporting events and music lessons and dance lessons and whatever else. And then if you have older parents and you have to take care of them, and then you also got to take care of work and take care of yourself and all the responsibilities at home. I mean, it all adds up. So sometimes it's a victory if you can make 2 workouts a week. But if you make those 2 workouts a week count, you can still make progress. And if you're training in progressive overload, you can certainly do it. The good thing about 2 workouts a week is when you approach each workout, you're fully rested and recovered and able to push yourself. It's not like when you're training 5-6 days a week and you're almost like borderline overtraining and feeling exhausted. If you're only training twice a week, you got several days of recovery between each workout. You can go in there and really, push it, train hard, empty the tank during that workout, so to speak. And then you got a few days to rest up and recover before your next workout. And it can actually be a very productive style of training. Kind of mimics the philosophy of the old, high intensity, heavy duty style training, the short, intense, frequent workouts. Kind of mimics that type of approach, but you can certainly make it work, right? Don't let the fact that, hey, I can only train 2 days a week limit you from going to the gym and limit you from making progress. It's certainly optimal from a muscle building point of view, not so optimal from a fat burning point of view, unless you're very strict with the nutrition. I will say that, right? Because if you're only training twice a week, you're not burning a lot of calories. You can be stimulating a lot of muscle growth, but you're not burning a lot of calories. So if muscle gain is the goal, hey, you can certainly make that work. If fat loss and muscle gain, i.e. body recomposition, is the goal, you want to be extra cautious of the calories, because in order to be in a calorie deficit, you're going to have to be extra strict with there because you're not burning a lot. All right, Matthew is joining us. It says, I've been loving quick oats, but I prefer it dry. Apparently cooking gets rid of the, how do you pronounce that? Citric acid, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Is eating it dry really that bad? It depends how much you're eating. Like, if you're having like a scoop of dry oats, like I know a lot of guys used to mix a scoop of dry oats in with a protein shake or a blender smoothie or something like that. I mean, I'll do it from time to time as well. And I don't think it's going to make that big of a deal. Like, it's kind of like this, it may hinder the absorption of some nutrients when you consume it, dry, meaning not cooked. But unless you're eating a ton of it, like, I mean, if you're eating like 2 or 3 cups of dry oats a day, yeah, you might want to soak them or cook them or something along those lines. I'd probably look into it. But if you're only like maybe throwing a scoop of dry oats in with a protein shaker and with a blender smoothie or something like that, I wouldn't really worry about it. I mean, I think its volume is the biggest thing. But as long as you can digest it, absorb it, it's not causing any stomach issues or whatever, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I know a lot of guys who've gotten great results consuming dry oats as a regular part of their thing. But again, it's kind of more in the conservative serving sizes. Maybe like a scoop or 2 a day at most, or like a quarter cup to a half a cup per day at most. If you're going beyond that, I'd probably look into cooking it. If you're getting into really high amounts. Like if that's your primary source of carbohydrates, yeah, you might want to look into cooking it. But anyway, use your own discretion on that. All right. Let's see what else we got. Jonathan is joining us. You're the best, man. Thank you. Much appreciated. Glad. Thank you for your support. We got Joe joining us from Ireland. Welcome, Joe. Glad to have you tuning in from across the pond. Billy is joining in. Says, Big Lee Savage Beast, just stopping by to say hi. Keep up the great work. Thanks for all the years of tips. You're welcome, Billy, and thanks for joining in. Much appreciated. Neil's joining in. Hello, Lee. Do you think it's true that working nights slows down metabolism? I mean, it's easier for me to gain weight in a bad way now compared to working a day shift. That's an interesting one. I know some people will argue it doesn't matter when you sleep as long as you get sleep. And I guess to a certain degree that's true. But I can certainly feel the difference sleeping in a normal rhythm, like rising and setting with the sun, so to speak, versus being polar opposite of the sun, meaning the sun comes up and you go down, the sun goes down and you come up. I think when you go work in the graveyard shift, it messes up your whole system. I mean, even if you're trying to get the same hours of sleep, for some reason it just doesn't feel as restful. I mean, that's my experience anyway. And when I talk to people who work night shifts, that's a common thing. So I believe there's something to it. I remember my grandfather used to always say, an hour of sleep before midnight is as good as 2 hours of sleep after. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it certainly feels that way. So, if you can work a day shift and get to bed at a decent hour, and when I say decent hour, I'm talking about before midnight. I think that's certainly what's going to help to aid with your fitness goals, your health and wellness goals, your mental clarity, all that stuff. I think you will just function better if you're sleeping in the night and you're awake during the day. Rise and set with the sun, so to speak. I think if you can do that or close to it, I think you'll be better off. Now, with that being said, I understand that that's not possible for everybody because of schedules and whatever else. Like some people, they have to work a night shift. If it's a short-term thing, that's not so bad. But if it's a long-term thing, man, it's a challenge. It really is. I mean, there's no other way to put it. All right. I remember years ago, my wife, she got offered a promotion at her job if she switched to nights. And this was before we had Harvey and everything else. And she just, hey, it's a promotion. I'll just work night shifts instead of day shifts and I'll make more money. And sounded good. She did it for like a couple months and we're like, no, this sucks. the extra money is not worth the lack of quality in our life. It's just, it threw everything hell west and crooked. I mean, she didn't like it. I didn't like it. I mean, it's just 2 months. It was like, screw this, go back to your old job, right? Take a reduction in pay. It's not worth it, right? You're better off making less money and having a normal life and a normal sleep schedule and everything else. So that's what we opted to do. But again, I know that's not always possible for everybody, depending on your situation. But if you can work a day shift, that's my 2 cents on there. Well, let me address these questions there because I didn't actually address these questions. Does it slow down the metabolism? I think it messes with your whole system. And as far as slowing down the metabolism, I think it can. It can certainly mess with your release of natural growth hormone, your natural production of, because when you get a good deep sleep, that's when you produce a lot of growth hormone, which helps increase your metabolism. And I think if your sleep schedule is altered, you may be hindering some of that natural hormone production that would occur during a good night's sleep. So indirectly, I mean, not only is it messing you up mentally and cognitively and all that kind of stuff, I think it could be impacting your metabolism as well. Okay. What else we got there? Just a second, guys. Baby Boomer Fitness says thanks, and thank you for the support. Much appreciated. All right, every little bit goes a long way to help. Thank you so much. All right, what else we got there? I lost my space there. All right, we talked about the oats, we talked about sleep, we talked about Scott's joining in. Okay. You still doing full body workouts? Saw you've been sharing different stuff on the reels, like chest and back workouts or an upper body day. I generally do. I'm going to be totally transparent and honest now. I still do total body workouts, but sometimes when I'm posting up these YouTube shorts or these Facebook reels, you've got a 60-second clip. Like they have a 60-second time limit. So I might just do a few exercises from the workout and post it as a clip. So I might do a few arm exercises and say, hey, arm workout, 60-second clip, just to kind of put some content out there. But I actually did the arm workout, plus I did a total body workout along with it. Or chest and back. I'll show the chest and the back exercises that I did as part of that total body workout and just post that up as a chest and back workout. Because it's just to create content and to create some variety. Because if every single clip I posted was just called total body workout, total body workout, total body workout, it'd get redundant. But One day it could be total body workout. Next day it could be chest workout. Next day it could be back workout, leg workout, arm workout, whatever. Like, just change it up. But personally, when I'm actually in the gym working out, I usually do total body workouts more often than not. Now, some days I will vary it a little bit. Like, for example, now that it's spring and the weather's warming up and I'm getting out bike riding a bit more, if I'm going to be doing a big bike ride, or I did a big bike ride the day before, I'm probably not going to do any leg training the next day. Right? Give the legs some extra time to rest and recover. So it might be an upper body day. So you might see some variation there, but generally speaking, I'm still doing full body workouts more often than not. Now, I want to clarify that as well. A lot of people think full body workouts means you're doing the same thing day in, day out, over and over again. No, you can have a lot of variety with full body workouts. Like, it doesn't mean you do the exact same exercises every single day and you do the same routine every single day you go to the gym. So, like, I might do a total body workout on Monday, go back again on Wednesday. I'll still do total body, but I'll choose totally different exercises. So, I mean, I might different machines, different variations, just to change it up. Like, for example, like one day I might do a barbell bench press. Next day I might do a dumbbell bench press. Next day I might do dips. That's the chest exercise. Same with the back. Like, one day it could be deadlifts. One day it could be rows. One day it could be some different T-bar rows or something like that. I'll change up the exercise variation. So you can still get a lot of variety with a total body workout. Like, people think that it's boring or whatever. No, it's not boring. In fact, I get more variety with total body workouts than I did when I was doing the old bodybuilding split routines. Right? I enjoy them, and they work well for me, and it fits my schedule. So that's why I do them. And even when I'm coaching people in the gym, like, more often than not, we're doing total body workouts, right? I actually was in the gym coaching somebody today, and every single workout, like, this guy is getting stronger. We're just seeing the weights going up and up and up because we keep a journal of all his weights and everything that he's doing. And each time we come back to an exercise, I mean, we're trying to beat what we did the previous one. And it's really cool when you have a series of different movements that you do. Like, let's just say you have 3 or 4 different chest exercises and you space them out. So you try to set a new personal record on this one, new personal record on the next one. And by the time you go through the cycle and then you come back again, you can keep that progressive overload going week after week after week. And it's really fun. And I've seen guys make some amazing strength gains and muscle gains with total body workouts. Right. I know a lot of the new, the up and coming 20-something-year-old fitness influencers, they all go for the push-pull legs or the bro splits or whatever. But back in the old days of bodybuilding, everybody did total body workouts. Like, back in the quote unquote golden era, the Steve Reeves era and that decades, back in the old times, they all did total body workouts. And I mean, they still built incredible physiques. In fact, I think most people would probably prefer the old school physiques over the modern ones. But anyway, that's a long rant to a short question. Do you have food prep videos? I have full day of eating videos. If you go on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel and just type in Lee Hayward full day of eating, there's a few videos there. And there's also a bunch of different like recipe videos. I used to do a lot more of them back in the day. I haven't done many recently, something I'm probably going to start doing more of. But yeah, just do a search for like Lee Hayward full day of eating and you can kind of see some sample full day of eatings. All right, what else we got? Neil saying, to be specific, it's easier to get fat, and I'm trying to maintain my current weight or at least not get overweight. Okay, this is a follow-up to the night shift one. So he was asking before, do you think that working nights slows down the metabolism? I mean, it's easier for me to gain weight in a bad way now compared to working a day shift. And then he says, to be specific, it's easier to get fat, and I'm trying to maintain my current weight or at least not get overweight. Yeah. So, I mean, you can still lose fat if you're working a night shift, all right? Like, it still comes down to calories in, calories out. Like, you cannot escape the law of thermodynamics. So, like, that still applies. However, I think it's easier to stick to a workout routine, stick to healthy eating habits and all the lifestyle choices when you have a day shift. Like, it's weird how the body works, but like in the nighttime hours is when that's when the bad habits happen. That's when people do naughty things, is in the dark and nighttime hours. Like, when do most people drink? In the nighttime. When do most people eat poor food choices? In the nighttime. I think it's like when the sun goes down and the moon comes up, people's inhibitions go out the window and they make all kinds of poor choices. And I know people who work night shifts, like, they eat like crap. Like, it's like less motivation to eat clean and healthy. They just want quick and fast food and junk food and snacks and, chugging down coffee to try and stay awake. And then, of course, if you're having coffee, then you got to be chasing it down with donuts as well. And it's so easy to make bad decisions in the nighttime. I don't know why it is, but it's true. Like, for those of you watching this now, like, think, when do you tend to have the worst food cravings? When do you tend to drink the most alcohol? When do you tend to make the worst choices? It's in the nighttime. Like, in the middle of the day, it's for some reason, it's like it's easier to stay on track and do the things you should do. In the nighttime, like, all those inhibitions go out the window, and it's just like, screw it. Right? I'm gonna crack open a beer. I'm gonna crack open that bag of Doritos. I'm gonna order a pizza. I'm gonna, get the tub of Ben and Jerry's. Like, just all the inhibitions go out the window in the nighttime. So, yeah, I mean, I could certainly see people having a harder time or easier time getting fat when you're doing a graveyard shift. Corbin's joining in. Always enjoy your videos. Thanks, Corbin. Much appreciated. Glad to have you tuning in. And we have Zulio Meko. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I do apologize. Says Lee Hayward here at Greece at 12 a.m. How many reps on hyperextensions for a beginner? All right, first off, all that stuff I was talking about, poor decisions in the wee hours of the morning, well, he's making a good decision. At least he's watching Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat. That's a good decision. So kudos to you. How many reps for the hyperextension? That really depends on your fitness level and your work capacity. And when we say beginner, like that, there's such a broad range of what a beginner is, because you may be a beginner to weight training or a beginner to going to the gym, but you could still be in phenomenal shape, maybe from whether it's just genetics, or maybe it's because you participated in other sports or athletic events, or just years of good old-fashioned hard work and physical labor, or whatever. Like, a beginner is such a broad category. Like, it could be a beginner in terms of, like, okay, a 50-year-old man never exercised a day in his life. He's 100 pounds overweight, can't even climb a flight of stairs without gasping for air. Or you might have a 20-year-old who was a high school athlete in great shape, but he's never worked out in the gym before. Both of them are considered beginners, right? Totally different scenario. So there's no one size fits all answer for how many reps should a beginner do. It really depends on your individual fitness level. What I would recommend: start doing the exercise, learn how to do it with proper form, and just get better than you were. Like, whatever you do your first workout, make note of it. Let's just say you can do 5 repetitions with good form. That's wonderful. Do a set of 5 repetitions with good form. And then the next time you do it, maybe try to do multiple sets of 5 repetitions with good form. Maybe try and do 6 repetitions or more with good form, but just try and do better than you did before. That's it. That's the whole principle of progressive overload, right? Like, it really doesn't matter where you start. It just matters that you start and that you try and progress and move forward from there. Like, I mean, I really don't care how small you have to start or how light you have to start or whatever. As long as you start, and then you just focus on getting better than you were before. Better than you were before. That's the mantra. That's the secret to success right there. Just show up, be consistent, and strive to be better than you were before. And if you can do that with your exercise, with your nutrition, with your lifestyle habits, all that, success is inevitable. I mean, that's the secret. And then, of course, one other element: just refuse to quit. As long as you show up, you're consistent, you strive to do better than you did before, and you refuse to quit, like, success is virtually inevitable. It's like, it may take longer than you anticipated. It might be more work than you anticipated, but as long as you keep pushing forward, the success is inevitable. All right, what else we got there? Mike says, "Good day. Just got out of alcohol rehab, getting back into fitness. Just been to the gym at 5 a.m. and now a beach walk. Made a big batch of chicken vegetable soup yesterday. Getting back to a healthy lifestyle." Uh, Mike, I respect you for sharing that. And you know what? I bet there's people who can relate to that because I know, not going to mention any names or anything now, but this is something that a lot of people struggle with. In fact, within our VIP coaching group, we were just talking about some family issues related around alcohol. And it seems like it can certainly tear families apart. Like there's a lot of negatives and self-destruction associated with alcohol. So the fact that you went in for rehab and now you're trying to trade those habits with health and fitness habits, kudos to you for that. That deserves a lot of respect. You know, you're on the right track, and I appreciate you for sharing. What else we got there? Al. Also, I called you Al. All smiles. As a woman, cellulite bugs me. I can certainly appreciate that. I don't think anybody out there enjoys having cellulite. Any tips on helping to minimize it? The only thing you can do there is just focus on losing the body fat. Like there's no magic formula for like spot reduction and all this kind of thing. Like you have to just focus on losing the body fat. And for women, the fat tends to accumulate in the hips and thighs. Like that tends to be the magnet for stored excess body fat. For men, it tends to be, the spare tire, the gut, the beer belly, the back fat. That's, love handles, beer belly, that stuff. It's just due to hormonal differences and genetic differences between men and women. For some reason, women tend to store weight in the lower body, men tend to store weight right around the midsection, right? And that's the stubborn area. It's always the last to go. So as you're losing body fat, like for a man will lose it from his legs, he'll lose it from his arms, he'll lose it from his face and the extremities. You'll see the extremities lose the fat first, meaning your limbs and your face, and you might still have a layer of fat around the gut and the midsection. For women, you'll probably lose it in the upper body a lot faster than you'll lose it in the lower body, right? Unfortunately, you're going to lose it in the bust. You probably lose it in the face and in the arms and the upper body and in the shoulders and all that area, and still have that stubborn fat around the lower body. But if you keep losing, like you keep pushing forward and keep progressing, you will eventually get into burning that last layer of stubborn body fat in those hard to lose areas. It's challenging. I mean, and it takes a lot of patience because people think they're doing something wrong. Like, for example, like a lot of guys say, well, my arms are getting leaner, my legs are getting leaner, my face is getting leaner. People are telling me I'm looking too skinny, but I still got a gut. I said, yeah, because you've lost it from the easy spots. You really you've got to keep going to lose it from those stubborn spots, right? You got to keep pushing forward. It's going to take longer than you anticipate. Like that's the secret to fat loss, right? It's not so much dieting harder or pushing yourself or killing yourself or doing any extremes, whatever, like trying to, oh, I got to go zero carb, or I got to fast, or I got to go on fat burner pills, or I got to what? You just need to diet longer. You need to be in a fat loss phase longer. It's not harder, it's longer. That's the secret. And like even back when I was competing in bodybuilding competitions, once I figured out the secret to getting shredded, it wasn't dieting harder, it was dieting longer. So I went from doing the typical 12-week cut, like most bodybuilding programs back in the day recommended, oh, you do a 12-week contest prep. Well, I did 12-week contest preps and I always showed up on stage soft. I never had that lean, hard, defined look. So I remember I just kind of figured this out on my own. This is back in the early days before the internet like we know it. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to double my contest diet. Instead of dieting for 12 weeks, I'm going to diet for 24. And I got shredded. I got in the best shape of my life. And the only thing I did differently is I dieted longer. So instead of starting the diet at 12 weeks out, I started it at 24 weeks out, did the exact same thing just for longer. And I got in the best shape of my life, got leanest I've ever been in my life. And I was like, whoa, I just cracked the code. The secret isn't dieting harder. The secret's dieting longer. And that's what I did for every contest thereafter. And I was able to pretty much nail my conditioning from then on out. Right. So the same applies when you're just trying to lose the gut, lose the love handles, lose the thunder thighs, or the, the saddlebags, or whatever you want to call them. You want to lose that last layer of fat, you have to diet longer. That's the secret, right? Dieting longer. Even though you're probably getting lean in the easy areas, you'll have to diet longer. And with ladies, this is something I've seen, especially when I'm coaching like female bodybuilders and figure competitors and bikini competitors and stuff. Like back in the day, when I was competing myself, I used to coach a lot of up and coming competitors, and I used to see ladies with 6-pack abs and like lean as can be from the waist up, and then still have cellulite from the waist down. It's almost like two different bodies connected at the waist. I mean, it's frustrating because they think they're so lean and shredded from the waist up, right? They go to the gym with like they lift up their shirt and they got their sweatpants on. Everyone say, "Holy crap, you're shredded!" But they don't want to let anybody see them with shorts or swimsuit or something on because they're still soft from the waist down. But you just got to keep dieting. Keep dieting. That's the secret right there. Right? I mean, you could bump up the cardio and try and increase the frequency of the lower body workout, just try and increase more blood flow in those areas, and that can help. But again, the ultimate secret is just diet longer. Right? What else we got there? Jose says, listening while working out. Question, are making shirts with the new logo? Am I making? I haven't really considered it, but I might. See the logo back there, all right? Lee Hayward's Fitness. I know I'm covering it half the way, but I may. I don't even have a shirt with that logo, but I might. Something to consider. Thanks for the suggestion. Let's see. Dr. Ahmad. I guess I'm Dr. H. I can't pronounce, I don't know. Unless it's simple names like Dr. Brown, Dr. Smith, or whatever. I can't pronounce. Harambe, Dr. Harambe. How to hit 150 grams of protein goal. Eat 150 grams of protein? I don't know, like that's not a lot of protein. Like 150 grams, assuming you're talking like 150 grams per day, that is not a lot of protein. Like personally, I'm eating 200 grams of protein per day is my target. That's what I strive for. 150 is very manageable. The secret is eating protein with every meal. Like a lot of people, they only eat protein or any substantial amount of protein with their dinner. Like breakfast, coffee and a bagel. Lunch is, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a granola bar. Dinner is meat and veggies and potatoes and whatever the wife cooks. If that's the way you're eating, like, yeah, it's going to be a challenge to meet your protein intake. But if you have a serving of protein with every single meal, it's easy to hit your protein goals. And that's what it takes. It's small, frequent feedings throughout the day. So in the case of 150 grams, I mean, like if you have 30 grams of protein 5 times a day, right? Boom, you got it done, right? It doesn't take much, right? It doesn't take much. It's just consistency. And you could use protein bars. You could use protein powders. I mean, any source of those are like snack options, convenient options. But when it comes to your meals, like eggs, dairy, meat, chicken, fish, eggs, like all this kind of stuff, like it's not that hard to do. You just have to be conscious. And the key is when you're sitting down to a meal, prioritize your protein. Like make sure the first thing that you should eat is make sure, like when you're planning your meal, like what's my protein source for this meal? Like the word protein comes from the word, it means the priority. It's a primary of importance. That's what it comes from, right? Protein, it's the primary nutrient. So that should be the primary focus of your meal. Always think of like, where are you going to get your protein? Instead of just saying, breakfast is a coffee and a bagel. Like there's diddly squat protein in a coffee and a bagel, or simple foods like a lot of people eat. The bread and tea and crumpets, tea and biscuits type meals. There's no protein in that. You need to prioritize good, solid sources of protein. Again, the meat, the fish, the eggs, the dairy, the poultry, these type of things. That's what you want to focus on. And if you do that, you'll have no trouble hitting your protein intake. And then if you are still a bit short and you want some other varieties, that's where protein supplements like protein powders and protein bars can certainly help. And if you're going to get a protein bar, make sure it's an actual protein bar, not a sugar bar. This is something that it's a pet peeve of mine. A lot of protein bars are labeled protein bars, but when you actually look at the nutrition label, there's more sugar than there is protein. Like one that I'm going to pick on right here, the Gatorade protein bar. Like, a few years back, Gatorade came out with the protein bar, and you go to any grocery store, any like Walmart or any major stores, you'll see Gatorade protein bars, right? Protein, right, listed across the box. You actually look at the label. There's like 20 grams of protein and 30 grams of sugar. So there's more sugar than protein. Why don't they call it sugar bar? But no, they got to call it protein bar. Right? Yes, there is some protein, but basically it's just a candy bar with a little bit of whey protein thrown in with it. If you're going to get a protein bar, make sure it actually is a protein bar and it has more protein than sugar, right? So look at the label, look at the ingredients. Ideally, you want something with 20 or more grams of protein, and ideally no more than that in carbohydrates. Like it should be pretty close to an equal ratio. Ones that I personally like, I like the Quest bars. They're kind of in that ratio. What's another one? Kirkland, actually, that's Costco's brand. They make one that's kind of similar to Quest. It's kind of similar to that as well. More protein than there is sugar. That's what you want to shoot for, right? Just make sure that when you are getting a protein bar, that it is primarily protein and not just a sugar bar. But if you follow those guidelines, I mean, you should be able to hit your protein intake needs. And again, this I'm going to piggyback off a question that someone else asked earlier. Do a search for Lee Hayward, full day of eating. Just go to my YouTube channel, type in Lee Hayward, full day of eating, and you will see some sample eating plans where I literally take you through breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks and show you how I meet my calories and macros for the day. Right? It's not that complicated. It just takes a bit of planning and preparation. All right, where else are we to? Red Planet says, I was in a bad way on nights. I wasn't eating right. I was constipated, not eating right, inconsistent with exercise, always lethargic. Nights isn't good, but with strong discipline, you can manage it. Okay, he's following up with the question the person was asking about working the night shifts and how it affects the metabolism. And I can totally appreciate where Mr. Red Planet is coming from, because virtually everybody that I talked to about working the night shift has a similar story. It's not optimal, right? I've never seen anybody say, oh, I feel better and I have so much more energy working the night shifts and sleeping in the day. I've never seen that happen yet. Maybe they're for the vampires out there, it might be the case, but for most people, not. All right, what else we got there? And Craig is saying, I figured you answered my question from Facebook earlier. Looking forward to re-listening to the broadcast for it. Thanks for all you do. I did, Craig. You were the very first question that I answered. So again, go back and check the replay, and you'll get the answer to your question. Let's see. What else we got there? Danny Yates, is training each muscle once per week like a bro split or a push-pull legs once okay? I find full body too long, too taxing. I'm currently late 30s and my goal is to maintain muscle. Anything you do consistently can produce results, right? I mean, something's better than nothing. So like a bro split is better than a no split. A push-pull legs is better than no workout at all. A total body is better than no workout at all. I mean, it's really personal preference what one you find better for you and which one you're going to dedicate the most time and energy and consistency to. But if you're finding full body too long and too taxing, it's you're doing too freaking much in that full body workout. Just shorten it up. You don't have to do every exercise, in a for every muscle group. Like, you can still keep the workout short. Like, you can limit it to maybe 5 exercises, right? Do a few sets for 5 exercises. Keep your workouts to like 15 sets. Like, that's not a big workout in terms of total volume per training session. Something you could easily get done in an hour and in and out of the gym. Like, the thing you have to realize with total body workouts is you're hitting the major muscle groups, but it doesn't mean you have to hit every single aspect of that muscle. Like, you can change it up. And then over the course of the week, and as you're going through different workouts, you can incorporate different exercises and emphasize different parts. So, for example, like for your chest exercise, maybe you're going to do a flat barbell bench press today. It doesn't mean you got to do a flat bench and an incline bench and a fly and a this and a whatever. Just pick one. Just pick one. And then the next time, pick a different one. Same with the legs. Like, it doesn't mean you got to do squats and leg extensions and leg curls and Romanian deadlifts and lunges and split squats. No, just pick one. Pick one, work that, and then the next day you can do another one. So a total body workout doesn't mean long and taxing. It's what you actually do, and you don't have to do every exercise for a total body workout. Right? You can make it as long or as short as you want. If you want to have you could literally have an hour long or less total body workout, get in and out of the gym, and not have it too long and too taxing. Now, with that being said, if you enjoy a body part split routine better, and for some reason that just works for you, you enjoy it, you feel better with that, then hey, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, guys have made progress with virtually every training split you can think of. The most important thing is being consistent, right? If you're consistent, you enjoy it, and you can do it day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, and stick to it and enjoy it, you're going to make progress. All right, guys, I have to clue it up. I know there's still more questions coming through here, but as I mentioned, I have a call coming up, and I'm literally 2 minutes away from it. So I have to clue this up and jump on that call. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video chat. I certainly enjoyed doing it. Just saying, how do I move that question? There we go. I enjoyed doing it, and I just want to let you know the replay is going to be posted up afterwards, and we'll be doing another live stream next Friday, same time, same place. And in the meantime, if you have any questions that you want to follow up on, things that I discussed here, or maybe you want to elaborate on them or get some more help, feel free to reach out to me. I've got my contact information down in the description below. Feel free to message me over on Facebook if we're friends over there. If we're not, friend me up, send me a message. Or if you don't use Facebook, you can send me an email, and I'll get back to you that way as well. So if you want to follow up and stay in touch, reach out to me. Details down below. And in the meantime, have yourself a fantastic weekend. Have a happy Mother's Day to the mothers. Tell your mother you love her. And I'll talk to you next week. Over and out.